Hi guys, I had a couple of you that had asked to have a video that shows you how to work through the last portion of your homework for chapter 6. So that's what this video is intended to do, is to help you work through those last few problems. So we're going to start with question 15. And question 15 gives you all of this information, and I literally copied and pasted this into a Word document. So it gives you the policy number here. The policy is for Jane Hellman Brandeis. The premium due quarterly is $1,414.98. The amount payable, the maximum benefit limit per covered person is $2 million. The stated deductible per covered person per calendar year is $2,500, and then it gives you all the rest of this information: ER deductible, preferred provider coinsurance percentage. And this is important here, it says for covered expenses in excess of the applicable stated deductible, the payer pays 100%. So let's start answering the questions. First of all, we want to know what type of health plan is described, if it's an HMO, PPO, or an indemnity plan. Well, I can tell you that this is preferred provider, and that right here indicates that it is a PPO plan. So PPO would be the answer to A. The annual premium. So the annual premium here, we know that the premium due quarterly is $1,414. At least that's what it says there. And so if that's quarterly, there are 4 quarters within 1 year, and so we would want to multiply that by 4. So let me get rid of that. Bring my little calculator up here. So 1414.98 times 4. Oops, nope. Sorry. It's been a rough few days. So 1414.98 times, oh, for the love of God. Okay, 1414.98. Please just be times. One of these days, I promise. I'll get it right. Times 4. There we go. Finally, sorry, is $5,659.92. So the annual premium would be 5,000, what was that? 659.92. So that's the answer to B. The annual deductible, if we look here, stated deductible per covered person per calendar year, that would indicate that it's an annual deductible, is going to be $2,500. So that would be the answer to C, would be $2,500. And then for D, what percentage of preferred provider charges does the patient owe after meeting the deductible each year? So that's what we were talking about up here when I said this is important to know, this information here, because this states that the covered expenses in excess of the applicable stated deductible, the payer pays 100%. So the payer is the insurance company, and there we go, make it a little bit easier to see. So the payer is the insurance company, which means that they are going to pay 100%, which makes the answer to D 0. The patient would pay 0%. Okay, and lastly for this question E, if the insured incurs a $6,000 in-network medical bill after the annual deductible has been paid, how much will the health plan pay? So this, again, the important information here is after the annual deductible has been paid. So if the annual deductible has already been paid, as indicated here, then again, the patient pays nothing because the insurance company pays 100%. So the health plan in this case would pay all $6,000, the full $6,000 bill. Okay, so that's number 15. Let's go down to number 16. So number 16 states that a patient's insurance policy states they have an annual deductible of $300, co-insurance of $70.30. This year, the patient has made payments totaling $533 to all providers. Today, the patient has an office visit, which is a fee of $80. The patient presents a credit card for payment of today's bill. What is the amount that the patient should pay? So here we know that the annual deductible is $300, and this patient has already paid $533 to all providers, which means that his deductible has now been met. So his deductible is good to go. We don't have to worry about that. So all we need to worry about then is this co-insurance portion here and figuring out what his percentage, his 30% that he owes is. So to do that, we would then take, let me find my little calculator. We would take 30% of 80. So you can do this a couple of ways. I like having calculators. So 80, you can do minus 30%, give you 24, which means that the patient would owe $24 and the payer would pay the rest of that. Or if you don't want to use the little percentage thing, you can do it the long way and do 80 and then multiply that by 0.3, gives you 24 also. So either way you go, $24 is what the patient's going to owe for number 16. So number 17 requires you to do a little bit more math. So it says a patient is a member of a health plan with a 15% discount from the provider's usual fees and a $10 copay. The day's charges are $480. What are the amounts that the HMO and the patient are each going to pay? Well, in order to figure that out, we're going to first take $480 because that's the charge, and we're going to knock that 15% off the top. So minus the 15% here is $72. So if you write that down someplace, that's $72 that we take off all the way. And so 480 minus 72, oops, 480 minus 72 should give you like 408. So 408 is going to be what we figure out to calculate the charges from then, because we already take that 15% off the top, and then after we have the number that includes the 15% discount, we figure out what portion is responsible, the patient is responsible for, and then the HMO is responsible for. Okay, so back over here, we've done this, we've got this 15% taken off the top, right? And we figured out that that's 408. So I'm going to put this here. And then we move on and it says a copay of $10, right? So the $10 copay means that we are going to subtract the $10 from the 408 because the patient's going to pay that off the top. And that's going to leave the HMO to pay $398. So of this $480, after the 15% discount is applied, we're going to bill the patient the $10 copay and then bill the HMO the $398 that remain. For number 18, a patient is a member of a health plan that has a 20% discount from the provider and a 15% copay. If the day's charges are $210, what are the amounts that the HMO and the patient each pay? Okay, so again, we're going to take that 20% off of the fee right off the top. So let's take 210 and minus 20%. That's going to give us $42 that we're going to take off. So 210 minus 42 gives us a grand total of $168 that we're going to be working with. Okay, so 100, oops, that we're going to work with here. Let me bold that so it's a little bit easier to see. The patient also has a 15% copay. Okay, so in order to figure out the copay, we need to figure out what 15% of this $168 is. So 168 times 1.5 gives you $25.20. So the patient's copay equals $25.20. And then the HMO is going to pay the remainder of that. So let's figure that out. So 168 minus 2520 gives us 142.80 that the HMO will be responsible for. Okay, so again, what we did was took the 20% off of the fee right off the top because that's the negotiated discount that we have with this provider, the insurance company has with this provider. Then we have to figure out what 15% of the new fee is in order to calculate their copay out to be $25.20. And then we will bill the HMO for the remainder of $142.80. Okay, hopefully you're all still with me because I'm going to work through one of the questions from 19 through 21 because I imagine that's probably a little bit confusing as well. All you have to do with 19 and 21, 19, 20, and 21 is to plug in numbers. You just plug numbers into the formula and try not to overthink it and make it more complicated. So let me give you an example. This is number 19, and your directions tell you to use the chart on page 129 in your textbook, and that's what this is down here, this blue thing. And you are to find the payment for the CPT code 33500 in Manhattan, New York. Okay, so when we talk about these codes, when you went through the chapter, because I know you all are reading your chapters faithfully, religiously, every single week, right? You should know from going through the chapters that billing occurs differently for different localities, which is part of what this this GPCI factor is here. Okay, so what it pays out in Manhattan will be different than what it pays out in San Francisco, and that will be different than what it pays out in, I don't know, Casper, Wyoming. Okay, so let's work through this problem. We're going to use this thing at the bottom and plug in these numbers. So what you need to know is the formula is W plus PE plus M times the conversion factor equals the payment amount, okay? So we need to find out what the work RVU is for this code for Manhattan. So we're looking, let's look down here. Here's the code, it's 33500. 33500. The work RVU is going to be here. It's 2555. So all of these blue numbers are numbers that I've plugged in from this blue chart, okay? So 25.55 is our work RVU for this CPT code. And then our work GPCI is 1.093 for that CPT code, okay? Or excuse me, for that locality. Manhattan, New York is down here in this table, 1.093. Okay, here's the thing. This is the formula up here to do this, to figure out the payment. But in order to figure out the W, you have to multiply the work RVU by the work GPCI, and that will give you the W amount, okay? So you multiply those two, the work RVU of 25.55 by the work GPCI of 1.093, which we found from down here in the table, and that is going to give us our W amount. So basically what we've done is take 25.55 times 1.093. That makes our W equal out to be 2792. You can then put 2792 somewhere off to the side so that we can plug it into this formula in a minute. Okay, the next step is to figure out the PE. Well, in order to figure out what the PE is in this formula, we need to take the practice expense RVU and multiply that by the practice expense GPCI. And that's going to give us our PE number, okay? So the practice expense RVU, again, from this table down here, for this CPT code 33500, practice expense RVU is 30.51. So I plug that in here. The practice expense GPCI, again from this table down here, for Manhattan, New York, 1.353, plug that in up here. Multiply those two, 30.51 times 1.353, and that's going to give us a PE number of 41.28. So then write that down because that's going to be your middle number for this formula up here to calculate your payment. The M factor requires yet another step. The M factor takes the malpractice RVU, multiplies that by the malpractice GPCI. Again, we're going to plug numbers in from down at the bottom. The malpractice expense RVU for 33500 is 4.07. Put that in up here. For Manhattan, the malpractice expense GPCI is 1.654. And so we plug that in up here. So essentially, to get your M number that we need for the formula to calculate payment, we're going to take 4.07 times 1.654, and that's going to give us the M number of 6.73. All right. So then we have the conversion factor. So you have these three things here, your W, your PE, and your M that you figured out through all of these calculations up here. And then we will have your conversion factor. So and this tells you that your conversion factor, I'm looking, I don't see it on the table. Hang on just a second. Let me look in the book, I might have cut it off on the thing. Okay, so your conversion factor is located up here at the top. I found it. It's fine. It's the conversion factor for this particular year is 34.7315, which actually means that this is going to be different. I don't know where I got this one from, so let me fix that. So the conversion factor is 34.7315. Oh, sorry.
Let me think.
Suri wants to join the lecture.
I found this on the web for his 34.7315 actually mean this is going to be different. I don't know where to.
Sorry, guys. So the conversion factor is 34.7315. And then we plug that in down here, the correct one, 34.7315. And let's figure out our payment then, because that will change the payment I had. Okay, so let's do the math. 20 clear. So 2792.92 plus 41.28 plus 6.73, right? And that gives us 75.93 times 34.7315 makes our payment amount, our final payment amount, $2,637.16. 2637.16. Okay, so that's how you work through the problems for the codes in questions 19 through 21. There are also several on the end of the chapter that you can work through if you want more practice. If you have any other questions outside of what we've covered here, then please do email me and let me know. I'm working on trying to get things caught up and graded and get back up to speed after being down for a couple of days. So hopefully this helps. If you have questions, let me know. Thanks.